You're listening to the Betoota Advocate's weekly news wrap on Desert Rock FM 96.5.
Welcome back to the weekly bulletin for the Betoota Advocate. Thank you for joining us. My name is Clancy Overell, editor of the Betoota Advocate. I'm joined today by Errol Parker, editor-at-large, and Effie Bateman, one of the rising stars of this publication. Wendell Hussey couldn't join us today. He suffered an unfortunate injury in a game of indoor cricket and I believe tore his banjo string, which is extra painful when you think about it, because as a good Catholic, I know he doesn't actually have a foreskin, so that's quite an injury to his appendage there. He says he's all right, bit of plaster, and he might not be back for a week yet. Anyway, what's going on with you two?
Well, I went over to Wendell's house this morning to drop him off a lasagna, and yeah, look, it's not pretty. He's cutting about the house, looking like Christopher Reeve at the moment. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, look, he's got a long road ahead of him, and I'd just like to say that we here at the Betoota Advocate are right behind Wendell in his recovery from his banjo string fracture. Hopefully he's on the mend.
And how have you been, Effie?
I'm very good. Thanks for asking, Clancy.
What is in the news this week, Effie?
Alright, so kicking off with some demographic news, and the census data has revealed that God leaving this fucked planet has caused a steep decline in Christianity.
Yes, quite a confronting headline, this one, and it comes off the back of the Australian Bureau of Statistics releasing the data from the nationwide survey they conducted last year. It revealed that there's significantly less Christians than last time they did it. Curious about why this is happening, we actually spoke to Jesus Christ himself about the findings, and he had something interesting to say. He told the Advocate that basically the software God uses to control the universe went down during the bushfires in the pandemic.
He did get them back up and running again late last year, but was on annual leave when those floods hit a few months ago. So unfortunately, all the emails and prayers went unanswered. He obviously wasn't there for the election either, because there were a lot of prayers coming his way from the Horizon Church in Cronulla.
But as the great man said, and I quote him here, "I regret that, but again, it's all part of the plan, so you can't be filthy at me." Sounds like a bit of a gaslighter, I reckon.
Now I know where all those Christian pollies get their buck-passing mantra from.
Mm-hmm.
And staying on national news, and we had a big story from down in the least livable city in the country, with Sydney hit by strikes. And the headline on that one reads, "Entitled New South Wales teachers demanding at least half of what a 22-year-old real estate agent makes."
The nerve of them is quite baffling, really. This disgraceful day of bludgeoning comes as the state's teachers greedily refuse to accept a generous pay rise that's been offered to them by the New South Wales government. Whinging about conditions and pay that people say have caused thousands of job vacancies across the state, the unions say they won't back down until the teachers get paid at least half of what a guy who opens doors and hustles on Instagram for a living gets.
Yes, the New South Wales Education Minister, Sarah Mitchell, wasn't having any of it. And she said to us, and I quote, "Who do these career teachers think they are? It's not like they're generating any revenue for the economy. All they're doing is dedicating their lives to raising our children and trying to give them a decent education in the face of persistent underfunding."
Had a couple comments on that one on Instagram. Grogster, he says, "Is the 8:30am to 3:30pm workdays with an hour lunch break along with 3 months paid holiday a year every weekend and every public holiday off not enough?" Laughing emoji. Well, you sound like a smart-ass, mate.
Well, that sounds like a good way to get good chinning out the front of a wine bar next to a public school.
And George Maverick says, well, then maybe they should stop spending their money on art supplies and sandwiches for struggling kids and invest in a pair of quality RMs and a rented Audi. Hashtag just saying.
And next, a little bit of world news, with the home of the brave and the land of the free causing a bit of a stir. Now, this headline reads, "The country that lets lunatics shoot up schools moves to protect kids by banning a medical procedure."
Talking, of course, about the United States of America here and the landmark decision by the Supreme Court over there to scrap the famous Roe versus Wade precedent, which made abortion a universal right. They say they've done this to protect the lives of American children.
Yes, they confirmed it's nothing to do with powerful conservative religious figures controlling young women's ability to control their own bodies. It's all about protecting a human life, something which is valued in this country where schools are regularly shot up because their leaders refuse to implement any serious gun control reform and people die if they can't afford healthcare. But at least we know the pregnant 12-year-olds of the United States do not have to worry about Pride Week in their schools while they're getting shot at.
But like in everything in America, you can skirt these laws if you're rich. And finishing up with a more touching local story now, and a Betoota Heights man has revealed that he is suddenly very capable of gender-neutral pronouns while debriefing a boys' night with the misso.
Yes, a real sign of the times, this one. Aaron Loveridge, who has previously shown very little interest in keeping up with the current language of progressives, has suddenly found himself actually very capable of using they, them when describing other people.
Yes, this followed a boys' night where he apparently described the group of people he and his mates were talking to as they and them, quite a number a few times.
It did turn out that the they people he was referring to were actually she/her, but it's the thought that counts, isn't it?
Yes, but don't worry, his missus was already onto him due to the girlfriends of girlfriends interwebs that exist in every pub you walk into. You should be aware of this, Aaron. There is no point
practically
lying.
spies.
Sleeper cells everywhere you go. And that's it from us this week. Thank you for tuning in to the weekly Betoota Bulletin, and please send your prayers to Wendell Hussey as he overcomes such a great injury to his middle stump.